Ooh, ooh, that's not a good. Ooh, man. There's a lot of bad going on. There's a lot of bad defense, a lot of bad movements, a lot of bad positioning, a lot of bad pitching, a lot of bad managing, and bad man. And that bad man is Eddie Rosario. He definitely owns the Dodgers this year. He's hitting something around maybe, I think, 13, 14 out of 25. Those numbers are kind of rough right now, but I'm pretty sure it's within that average. And he almost hit for the cycle today. It was, I think, he hit a homer, a triple, a single. He needed a double, so he just settled with the 3-run home run. He said, doubles not my thing when I do a 3-run home run. So, yeah. And honestly, right now, the Dodgers are getting punched in the mouth. They're getting punched hard in the mouth. And this is something that they mentioned last year, I think, when they were going up against San Diego in the regular season. I think Mookie even said it. Sometimes the team just needs to get punched in the mouth. And this is exactly what it is. And I don't know what it is or what it will take for the Dodgers to make a successful comeback, because being 3-1 is hard. It's obviously statistically hard, and it's been done by the Dodgers last year, but it's hard. I don't get paid to hit, but it's just, it's one of those things that teams don't really usually come back from. Like last year was nothing short of a miracle, but at the moment where it stands, it's 3-1. It could have been 2-2, but it's 3-1. You can't go back and you can't change the game, so it is what it is. Right now, the bats are just not that consistent. Pollock is kind of like hitting the ball, but Chris Taylor, Mookie, Seager to some extent, Cody Bellinger, even Albert Pujols has been like kind of like carrying some of his weight, but Turner's just haven't, and it sucks. Justin Turner is out for the rest of the season, so that's just another defensive move that has to be made that could create a liability because it's someone playing out of their position. And we could sit around and complain, but it is what it is. The cards that we're dealt with, and we kind of just have to go on from there. But just one thing's for sure: the starters are shot, and the bullpen is shot, and this offense needs to be revived. And kind of wish we had waited to start Max and started Bueller first, and then bullpenned it, and then started Urias. And I kind of wish that we just never sent Urias out in the 8th inning, but it is what it is. Yep. Also, to add on, a lot of people are going to point out Dave Roberts' mismanagement of the bullpen in previous years past, and I think that is like the easiest low-hanging fruit to nail on Dave Roberts. And while, yes, to a certain extent, I can't agree with that, there has been mismanagement with the bullpens in the past years, let alone even this season and this postseason. It happens. I don't think managers are going to be perfect. I mean, if you look at every series so far, there's probably been some bad moves that have been made by managers that probably shouldn't have been made. If you look at the Boston Astros series, if you look at this series alone, I can point out a good amount. And by no means am I trying to defend Dave Roberts. I think there obviously is a line to draw when it comes to putting the blame on. I think if we're thinking about defensive and offensive movements, it's going to come down to our analytics and our scouting department, and let alone our pitching department. I think the key aspect of this series right now is Urias coming out in the 8th on Game 2. And there's a part of me that kind of wishes that Urias should have said no, but obviously you don't say no to your manager like that. You don't say, I'm not doing it. This isn't the type of game that kind of calls for that. Everyone is kind of on deck, and everyone is up and entrusting arms with their manager. But a part of me kind of wishes that there was someone that stepped in and said, no, like, we shouldn't do that. And I think we're paying the price for that. I think if we were to go back, and like I said earlier, there is no going back, but there is kind of deconstructing what happened in this series. I think Walker should have been game one. Instead, sorry. I think the bullpen was fine, and that game was what it was. It was walked off. I think game 2 should have been Walker. I think Max should have been game 3, and I think there should have been a bullpen game today, even without ODS pitching in that game 2. Just because he had pitched in that last game for us in game 5. And then he'd play game 5 this game, because then that would give everyone an optimal amount of rest time. This starting pitching has been overworked, and this bullpen has been overworked as well. And I think if you're really trying to maximize everything of that group of players, I think optimal rest time should be a priority. And I think that's where Roberts and the analytics and the pitching department has really dropped the ball. The offense isn't without any sin, because the offense itself has been very minuscule, if anything, almost downright embarrassing. Like, pretty much putrid and should be ashamed of themselves. But I'm not the one getting paid millions of dollars to talk about that. So that is not my job to kind of point out, but at the same time, I'm a fan of this team, so I do have the liberty of doing that, and it is what it is. But your pitching is always going to set you up for success, and your offense is always going to take you there. So with that being said, these pitchers have been slightly mismanaged. This offense has not been helping with that. And right now, it's kind of downright a miracle that we need. And we're facing a left-handed starter tomorrow. And we saw today the holes that the Dodgers have in their lineup. And it is left-handed pitching. And it was downright almost frustrating just watching and following along. I had to go to the gym and work out just to decompress, not just because of this game, just other personal stuff I have going on that I'm dealing with, but it doesn't really help as a fan. So don't want to make this as negative, and I don't want to make this as long because these videos are meant to be short to begin with. I'm not going to give up on this team until this team is officially eliminated, and by then, it's baseball. I'm not going to lose my sleep. I'm not going to go crazy, but it is what it is. And yeah, that's today's State of the Union for this game, Game 4. It's also 3-1, just like last year, so anything can happen. I don't care what the statistics say. The statistics said the team that wins the first game in the DS usually wins. Did the Dodgers win the first game in the DS? No. Did the Red Sox win the first game in the DS? No. Did the Braves win their first game in the DS? No. Statistics are only there to dissect afterwards. They're not there to dictate what the future holds. That's today's State of the Union. Have a great day.